Hello everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Sable. Sable is a 6-year-old warm blood mare. I believe she's Oldenburg. She has been through quite a number of health issues, injuries, and some training problems that have not been resolved. And so she came to me about 10 days ago, and we're trying to sort out what is what with her. The most prominent and most obvious issue being that Sable has lost really all joy in moving forward. Under saddle, on the ground, on the lunge line. We've been talking and working and trying to figure it out, and she's been having a vet check. We've checked for ulcers. She has some very mild ulcers, but not enough to really warrant the type of behavior that has been encountered with her, both with her last trainer and with her current owner. And so we've checked into the ovary situations. There's no inflammation, there are no cysts, there's nothing there. So there's a number of things that we always have to consider. Hormonally, she's balanced, she's on Regimate, so that is not really an issue. So there's other things that I think will cause a horse, other than perhaps a temperament, that might be a little bit more laid back, and that might be the case too. I don't know her that well yet, but I think as we're exploring the things, and as I try to ride her to start with, my first few rides were not very successful, and I have quite some experience with horses like this, and I thought, wow, this is one level up, one notch up again from what I know about horses, the not so forward horses, and so basically how it presented was that she was swishing her tail most of the time, with the saddle on, and then with me in the saddle as well, and lots of sort of crinkled nose, and just the ears a little bit unhappy, and just not like, not as soon as I would put a little friendly leg on, she's like, no, I'd rather you do not do that. And so after everything that we tried and explored in terms of different types of maneuvers and exercises that I thought I knew I could bring a horse a little bit to come out of her shell, none of that worked. And I had to kind of say to myself, what is this horse about, right? What do we have? And the more I learned about her history, and I'm not going to go into that right now, it's a long story, but it is just a lot of different things that happened to this horse that I believe have caused her to go more and more inward and to go into her proverbial shell. And as soon as we come out here into the arena, there's really not a lot of interest or joy, and this sort of semi-sleepy face that you could see is, sometimes she looks up and there's something that you might want to look at, but in my opinion, or in my sort of estimation, I think it's not so sleepy. I think it's a little bit more kind of mildly shut down already and in anticipation of what might happen. So I decided I'm going to start from the beginning, and I've already walked her a little bit. The walking just on a dually halter right now, I'm just going to continue while I'm talking, and you can see, there's a hesitancy, to say the least, if not look at that. There's not a great joy in coming with me here, so I'm going to go back and give a tiny little bit of a tap with my whip, which I use, as I always say, as a guidance tool, never as a punishment. And so we're just going on a little walk here for a moment, and I will continue to tell you a little bit more about Sable. And the reason I'm using this dually halter too right now, just to let you know, it has a double nose band over the top of the bridge of the horse's nose, and you can watch some of my other videos about the way how you can use this halter and how you can train with it, but it gives a mild input to let the horse know, let's go, or let's stop or back up, and it's a little bit better than a grooming halter. And so right now my goal is, ideally I would like her head to be right next to my shoulder, right? And you can see how I'm tugging a little bit on the line, and then I let it go, give her a little bit of a chance to come and catch up. But it is very, very slow feeling, and very kind of in the widest sense, a very reluctant move. So now I'm starting to feel it's a little bit more lively. And yes, my body language right now is very soft. And then she stops a moment. I'm not gonna, put a lot of pressure on her. I'm not walking upright and saying, here, I'm the boss, like I might do with a horse that I might think might need that type of knowledge about me. Right now, I'm just saying to her, you can see how I have my head a little bit forward, my shoulders are a little bit round, I'm looking down, I'm not looking at her, I'm walking at a fairly relaxed pace, and my right hand just every once in a while says to her, come with me. And we're going to change directions here for a moment. I'm just going to go to the other side, and I can hear her breathing. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's not a very relaxed breathing. It's a bit almost as if she holds her breath for a moment, and then she gives a tiny little bit of an out breath. And again, I watch all of these things. I watch out of the corner of my eye also her, her ears, which are starting to be a little bit more forward, a little bit more positive looking. But, there's a tiny little bit more liveliness coming into her stride, and then she stops again. And again, I'm right now not going to put any harsh, big pressure on her. I step back into her shoulder, give a tiny little bit of an encouragement, even just almost visually with my whip, which is a little bit of a Tushir whip, that length. And there's the stopping again. And this is what she does under saddle too. She stops, she will walk for a moment, and then she'll stop again. And I think in my mind, this is almost like a testing at this point in where we are at, where she says, I'm going to stop and see what you're going to do. Are you going to get harsh? Are you going to get, loud and, really dominant with me? Or is that okay? And after these 10 days that I've been observing her, I'm just going to say that's okay right now. Rather than pulling and trying to be forceful, I will use a different tact and go a little bit around here in a circle, a little bit, and just keep her feet moving. And this is something I would do under saddle too. If a horse tests me, and again, this is such an interesting case because she does it in such a mild way that, you would normally say, oh, come on now, let's just go. This is not necessary. So she's doing it again. I'm going to go into a little bit of a circle here. And my goal is nothing but to say, keep your legs moving. If she wants to stop again, I'll go into another circle. And I know I could, use other little exercises for this, and we'll get to that. But for now, I don't want to ask for too much that is different, rather than saying to her, hey, why don't we walk together? That's all I really want is walk, walk, walk. And maybe I stop and see if she will stop. Yes. So there is the first big sigh, and I don't know if you can see the mouth. She's actually licking and chewing. Not licking so much, but chewing, which I always take as a sign of momentary relaxation. She's looking around, looking at the camera. Good. So, and then I'm going to say again, come on, let's go. See, straight or not. If she's not wanting, yeah, she's coming. If she wants to go with me on a nice, fairly straight or curved line here, straightforward, I really think that's wonderful. So I just give her a little bit of a tug on the halter here, right? You can see how it's very, very slack most of the time. Then she stops again. I'm going to say to her, no, I want your feet to move. Going into a little circle here. And we're going to circle as long as it takes for her to come with me on a straight line again. And why I'm doing that is that in horse terms, the one who says we're moving, the one who's in charge of speed and direction, is the leader, right? And so I'm saying to her, hey, you don't have to run a marathon right now, but when I say we move, I would like you to move, right? And so those are bits and pieces of information that register in her mind that will be, an accumulation of signs and signals to her to say, oh, she's not harsh, but she's determined. And that is ultimately, the message that I want. I want her to, there. Yeah. So we're going to stop. She may have to go and make some manure. That could be another reason why she's stopping. And I wouldn't have anything against that. But I don't really, in the context of who she is and who I know she is, I don't want to just say, oh yeah, maybe she has to go and then stop and let her stop, unless I stop. So here I am stopping. And so I'm going to do the next thing that she will probably not expect, which we've done a couple of times. I will release her from her halter, and I will let her have a little time on her own. I'm going to drop my whip. I'm going to put that over here. So, and I'm just going to take 2 coiled up parts of my long line, sort of simulating the swishing of a tail of a horse, and use my body language and my eyes and my energy to tell her that I would like her to move away from me, claiming space. That is really all it is about. I don't care right now if she's running or if she's slowing down, but she can't just stand and not do anything and just stay in her shell. Right? I'm a good girl. So all I'm saying to her is, we're going to take this a little bit of a notch up. I'm going to have you move away from me. And then, at the same time, I'm saying to her, look, nothing at all is bothering you right now. I'm not bothering you, other than that I'm saying with my body, don't come into maybe, let's say, a 10-meter circle around me. And the rest of it is up to her, right? So I'm going to go and make her go. Come. Yeah. And look at this. This is sort of this, as I always say, deceivingly mild and mellow horse. And isn't that lovely? A beautiful horse in motion. The camera might lose her. That's okay. So, and I don't want a lot of this. I just want a little bit. So. Very nice. Good girl. So, I just want her to go wake up a little bit, right? So, yeah, there's what she's really thinking, There's no notion of sleepiness. And all I'm doing is saying, hey, are we going to move a little bit maybe to the right now? Yeah. Good girl. So. And we're just playfully engaging with one another, right? I'm just going to say to her, come on, let's go. She goes and likes to be in that corner for a moment. No big deal. I'll have her go to the left again. Come. So, it's good. So, that's better. And she will, as I said, I don't have a round pin here, so that makes it a little bit harder for me to direct her speed and direction consistently, because I'm just going to be outside of her decision-making zone. But I'm just going to try and do a little bit of a join up perhaps here. So her neck was lowered already, as you might have seen. She's been licking and chewing. One of her ears is on me. She's trotting a little bit more calmly. And I'm going to go and see if I can get her to walk along the fence line and maybe invite her back to come to me. But I want her to go to the other side. There's a little bit of licking and chewing, probably hard to see from the distance. So, and I just want her to be very nice and quiet and calm. So, I'm going to go up to her shoulder here. Good girl. So, and then I'm going to say, hey, how about coming with me for a moment here? And she did it for a moment. Now we're going to wait for her here. Good. So, there you go. My good girl. So I'm just going to pet her, keep my eyes low, and basically say to her, hey, come, shall we walk a little bit more together right now? So, yes, and so with her, she's now a little bit out of breath and probably itching a little bit. no big deal, but this is a better situation than what we had to start with. And there are different ways of how you can do all of this. I'm not suggesting everybody should do this. I'm just showing this to you as an example of how to get access to the part right here between the ears and between the eyes, where the horse is also happy to come with you and not just, let you be dragged, let herself be dragged. And here it's like, look at that. That's the beginning of her saying, okay, I get it. We can do this together. And even at a distance, she's following me, which is a big deal for her right now. This is not at all an expected or, very, easy thing for her to do. So I'm going to say thank you to you. I'm going to clip back on. And there she is. And that was the first part of us doing something together here that is not with pressure, that says to her, hey, I want you to move, if possible, in, at the speed that I would like you to go, in the direction that I would like you to do. As I said, it's hard to do without a round pen in a big open space like this. But that is how you start the conversation again, when something in a horse has shut down to such a degree that they just stop. They just say, no, I don't have to unless you hit me, because I know you're going to do it, or you're going to kick me with your spurs. And we have to, interrupt that cycle of horrible expectations. And so now she's breathing quite a bit, so I'm going to see if I can get her to walk with me again a little bit more. And that is just the beginning of it. We're going to do a little bit more each day. We'll put a surcingle on her and, basically start over with her and saying, hey, all of these things that you think you know may not be static. We may actually, have a way of communicating and working together without being overly forceful, without it hurting or being, traumatic in any way that you have to go inward and say, oh no, I can't go, right? So this is a nice little moment here to stop. I think this is probably going to be a little bit of a rough cut because I haven't done videos at such a distance with my little camera, so maybe some pieces are missing or not so clear, but I wanted to give you this impression, and I will continue with our journey and we'll continue to document it. And so much for today. Thank you so much for watching, and happy horsemanship. Good girl, Sable. Thank you.